one of the things that I like to do on my channel is to highlight or promote people who are doing some great things out there. One of those people, and I've already posted something by her, is Barbra White Crow. And she gives a little talk here today about, she talks about the relational field, she calls it. And she refers to the title of her talk, Rooted Resilience in Times of Chaos. And yeah, this is a time of chaos. We have some changes that everything's going through. Some stuff's passing away, some stuff's coming into being. And the key for us is where we are during all that process. She talks about identity, and she talks about love and the fact that you're loved. She does a great job of this. And, I've said for years, I am, therefore I think. And I've had people try to correct me on that. Well, they're wrong. I couldn't do any more justice to this talk because Barbra does a fantastic job. So, buckle down, get ready, and sit down and just enjoy Barbra's presentation. Oh, and it appears that somewhere through the recording, the sound gets slightly out of sync with the video. Don't let that distract you. Stay focused and enjoy.
Modern technology.
Modern technology. There we go. I gotta go up like that. There we go. All right. So, those that are joining on Facebook, and for you all, is just another round of applause for Lynn and for Melanie and the meditation. Right? That's so beautiful. And as the bulls were singing, the birds were singing. And I thought it was, did you hear that too? And I thought of a study. This is a literal study. This is not theoretical, that the song of birds actually increases photosynthesis. Right? And so the song of birds will even so the sound of the bowls and everything, I was like, just letting that wash over. So welcome. Here we are to grow together in our rooted resilience with the current chaos. Anybody feeling the current chaos right now? Yeah. There's an old paradigm dying and a new one emerging. And the old paradigm we're going to talk about in a moment, but I want to invite you into awareness that you are unconditionally loved. That there is a presence that's not just in all things, it is all things. That loves you, loves everything. Loves every blade of grass, every hair on your head, every part of your being is loved. And that presence, that indwelling presence, is not something we have to fight for. It's not something we have to earn. It's not even something that we have to go out and get a degree to have, right? That presence is within us. Each of us is here to be a distribution point, a living portal of love and beauty and creativity on the planet. Can I get a woo-hoo? But why the heck do we forget that, right? Why the heck do we forget that? Anybody forget it? Right, sometimes, yeah, we forget it when we feel fear. Anybody worry, fear, thinking about what other people are thinking about? That's the definition of hell, right? Thinking about what other people are thinking about. So why do we do that? And why do we forget that we're loved? And why, these emotions we feel aren't bad, but why do we forget so much? And I want to bring you to a concept of non-duality, which is part of unity teachings. It's also called holding paradox. There's by James Hillman, who's an incredible teacher in the educational system. He says, to the degree we can hold paradox, we will know peace. To the degree we can hold paradox, we will know peace. Or the peaceful point of tensions. And so understanding that part of getting rooted is being able to hold a bigger space for ourselves. Anybody in the healing field hear the term holding space? Mm-hmm. Right, holding space. Well, holding space starts within ourselves. It starts being able to meet what we perceive as things that, do you ever be in a place, well, should I do this or should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? Mm-hmm. And you ended up picking one of them, but they were kind of probably both wrong. Because option C, or the place beyond the space of right doing and wrongdoing, beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing. I will meet you in the relational field. Rumi, right? And so when we're in that place, which is called a double bind, and we're able to go, oh, I surrender. What happens when you surrender? In a place of conscious surrender, what happens?
Things flow.
Things flow. You become available to solutions. You become available to good. You become available to things. But we have been culturally, before we were even out of the womb, we've been culturally programmed to think in duality, to think as right and wrong. And we think, oh, if I don't have right and wrong, people will just go out and do horrible things. No, actually, when you realize your fundamental wholeness, when you realize your magnificence, you go out and you act magnificently. Well, how you identify is how you're going to act. So if you identify as love and beauty and a beneficial presence on the planet, how are you going to act? A more simple way of explaining this is like if you identify as an athlete, probably be like, okay, I can do this. Or if you identify as someone who's kind or someone who cares, how you identify is how you're going to act. That's why reclaiming your divine identity, loving yourself, is not selfish. It's actually a courageous thing to do, because all these limited identities, or they're called protectors, that we create. Oh, my worthiness is in how much I do. My worthiness is how much I control. My worthiness is in how many likes I get on Facebook. Ha ha ha. But it says it in Matthew, Mark, and I believe it says in Luke, that the last will be first, and those who are last shall be first. Another kind of dualistic statement by Christ, right? In three different places. And being able to know that when we surrender, we're not surrendering to a power outside of us. But that inner surrender starts with our holding of ourselves, that rooting of ourselves. The word rooted resilience, the word rooted in its etymology means radish. And radish is a root. And it also means radical, root, radish. There's something being said there. And to root down into our fundamental wholeness, there we go. To root down into our fundamental wholeness. To know that life is for us and never against us. To know that, to come out of this lower consciousness paradigm of life is happening to me, right? A victim. Or, which most people stay here, I'm happening to life. I'm going to manifest things. I'm a manifester. That's level 2. Level 3 is life happens through me. Surrender. 4th is I am life. I am life. You feel that? Feel that. Feel that in your sit bones. I am life. Right? But we got to kind of be kind to these parts of ourselves, cultural wounds that have taught us to stay into I'm happening to life, or life's happening to me, or life's happening through me, versus I am life. Because we just don't realize that our shine, our full authenticity is what the world needs. See, on a trauma-informed perspective or a nervous system perspective, we have been taught to sacrifice our authenticity for belonging. When your mom or dad didn't know how to meet you emotionally, you said, oh, hold back. Men shouldn't be feeling feelings or crying, or women shouldn't be too big, or, we made these should-haves that we've created that are just keeping us from going, rah! Try it. Ready? Rah! Yeah, I know it felt a little weird, right? But letting yourself fully be you, authentically, wonderfully you, and maybe your authentic self isn't a rah, you're a beautiful, quiet deer. That's great. So, why has these cultural programs so gotten into us? And why, we've actually, if you look at it, we've westernized karma. Good things happen to good people, you do good happens. And our mind craves certainty so bad that even when they're like, well then, what, did that person earn their cancer? Did that person earn getting hit by a car? Did the bird have bad karma when it got hit by a windshield? Was it the bird's fault that the street went through the forest? See, there is a beneficial presence that loves us, adores us, and that is true. But we've got to look at these cultural assumptions that keep us from really fully receiving the incredible presence that we are within all of us. We need each other. We need each other's shine. And the reason why we think we have to sacrifice our authenticity to belong, is there's a childhood root to it, but our culture kind of does that as well, right? It tells certain messages of not being fully you. And did you know that mediocrity is self-inflicted, but greatness is self-bestowed? And you're here to be great in all the little and big ways that you can. To see the divine in every face, animal, human, and plant. And so with me right now, although we could have started here, let's call with our energy in our field all our healed ancestors, all the plant allies, all the angels, all the beings that want to celebrate you and support you. Call in all the support of life that wants to love you. Right now, call it in. Because when you ask, you receive, but you have to ask. Let the angels, give them permission to wake you up to your divine identity. Wake me up. Help me to love these little patterns that I've created to survive and know that I am something bigger. I hold a bigger space for myself. Help me, angels, to hold a bigger space for myself. Angels are real. This living presence is real. We know this, right? This relational field is real. Wake me up to it. Wake me up to my divine identity. Help me to see beyond someone's protectors and see their divine identity. Wake me up. And that's actually when I teach in my Thursday nights in our Ubuntu, which means I am here because of you. Ubuntu Radical Self-Love Community is that we are here because of each other. And when we shine, another person shines. Another person shines. But we need each other. And to be able to receive love, to be able to ask for help when you're hurting and know that's not weak. To be able to go, yeah, I need to come to a community. It's not weak to come to a community like here, Downriver Unity. Or to come to Ubuntu Radical Self-Love on Thursday nights. We need each other. I am here because of you. You know, Descartes did so much damage in the 17th century by saying, I think, therefore I am. Ugh. And then that was added with creating models of science and spirit being separate so they could do research on cadavers. So science and spirit became separate. I think, you know, I'm only my skull and my thoughts. No, it's I feel, therefore I am. And then take it even deeper and more advanced. I am here because of you. Ubuntu. I am here because of you. Because of you, because of the plants, because of my ancestors, because of the people that allowed me to be here, because of the many energies that allowed. See, we so are focused on only, you've heard me talk about this, a vertical alignment. But there's a cultural wounding where we've westernized karma, and we've even westernized Christianity, right? Oh, I am blessed. Well, wait a minute, we're all blessed. I am blessed. Well, yes, you're all blessed. We're all loved. And so this idea of a Santa Claus God, or this idea that it actually, you know, it gives our ego, it gives these protectors. It's like, oh, I want certainty. Even if it hurts me, I want certainty. But to move into the space beyond wrongdoing and right doing, into that relational field, I will meet you there. You feel, oh, you just all shifted. You feel that in your feet? Beautiful, everyone. Feel that in your heart? As we all just said, yeah, I'm more than that. I'm more than conditions. I'm more than the things I've did. I'm actually more than my successes. I am more than the opinions of others. I am more than my failures. I am more than that. In fact, I always thought a great word for God would be more. So I bought this big old heavy thing just because it was this important to show y'all of this a very powerful model of what is the relational field and why we get wounded. And up here is psyche. And right here is society. I'm with SOCCIETY. You know when people are watching you, you're like, well, how do I spell? What's my name? And then nature. And this comes from an old teacher of mine, Dr. Andy Fisher, Radical Eco-Psychology. But I've taken it over the years and kind of made it a little different, but it's essentially from him. And so up here, we're just in psyche. We're just in psyche. And what that means is up here, we believe that I am responsible for me and I don't need anyone else. Or transcend this messy humanity. Or this means I got to figure out all my stuff and then I'm whole. But when we have psyche without society, do you know what we become? Narcissists. We forget about the impact on society. And because the influence of Descartes and because the influence of the industrial growth, where we stopped connecting to the village and nature, these cultural wounds, we began to be so caught up here. And then Freud came in and he said, oh, just analyze your mom and your dad and you'll know your wholeness. Do you know his last book said that was bullshit? It's not as pop. I'm not kidding. His last book said that. And it said, and James Hillman, who's an incredible psychologist, archetype work, he says that modern psychology was a response to our pull away from each other in nature. So, when we have each other, when we have nature, when we have life, this relational field, I call this the relational field. Or you could call it, if you like, if you're a science nerd, the quantum field, right? If you're Christian, you could call it the oneness of God. If you're Buddhist, you could call it the loving awareness. But you know what? Call it something. Call it something. The relational field, right? The relational field, the oneness of God, the unified oneness, the quantum field. So as we pulled out of, and we pulled into the mind because of Descartes, because of the industrial growth, because of, we put greed ahead of each other. And you could also call this pull out of society colonization. You could also call it the patriarchy. And patriarchy, by the way, is not anti-men. It's just hierarchy. It means that we're trying to we're like crabs pulling each other into the boiling pot, right? It's not anti-men. It's just saying that we're here to support each other. And this idea that the means justifies the ends, that we can go and just hurt an entire population of humanity and it doesn't freaking matter. Where did we get this? We got trapped here. So when you need help from someone, right? Or you need to reach out to a friend, just, that voice in you that says that's weak. Or have you ever heard yourself? I know I've heard myself, oh, I don't want to burden them. Mm-hmm. Right? Just think how much stronger this community would be if everyone started reaching out to each other even more when you're hurting. Not thinking you have to be all polished, right? Mm-hmm. How often we show up to a spiritual community or a church thinking we have to walk in all polished. And I know this community, I feel it in my heart. I feel like if someone came in here crying, they'd have two people hugging them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not saying, just have faith, right? That's all psyche, right? That's all psyche with no empathy, no connection. We need head work, positive, have vision, faith, that matters. But we need the heart. We need the heart back. And then when we move out of nature, this is the body. This is nature itself. But this is how we've gotten to a place where now we have a mass, it's called the sixth mass extinction that's happening, where we can just bulldoze things down and not really care how it impacts the soil. We have the soil that is so pulled away from the biome that our digestive system is losing its biome. So anyways, we want to be in this space. And if you want to hear more about the nature part, I'm doing a free lecture Monday night on the 23rd. Monday night the 23rd from 6 to 6:45, just on this part. And understanding how that keeps this whole system, our whole connection to the relational field. Because beyond the idea of right doing and wrong doing, I will meet you in the field. Yeah? In that field, in that oneness, in the connection of the divine. And so to hold space for these parts of ourselves that kind of feel like they're warring is to know that's not your fault. Right? That's not your fault. You're not bad, you're not broken. You're not broken, and you're also not here to fix yourself or heal yourself. Life is a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. You are a precious incarnation of the divine, here to experience life, not some problem to be solved. I know when I finally realized I had this spiritual ambition or this fixing energy to my healing work, and I was 15 years in, 20 years in. I've worked with thousands of people. I've had many healing centers, and it was not until my 30s did I go, wow, I still think if I work really hard, I'm finally going to feel like I'm enough. Just little. It wasn't the dominant voice. It was a part, right? We got to admit, to the degree we admit our parts, we hold space for them, we realize our wholeness, right? So in that radical self-love, I went, oh, I have nothing to prove. What would your life be if you no longer thought you had anything to prove? Mm-hmm. If you left this today just going, what would my day look like if I had nothing to prove and I knew my fundamental wholeness? Because the last thing I want to leave you with is, and I would love to talk there's so much, I just love this community, is to remind you to ask empowering questions. You've heard me teach about this before. Instead of why me, or looking out at the current chaos, when you root down, why them? Why are they doing that? Pointing fingers at them or yourself. I want you to ask empowering questions. What would it look like to live a life where I have nothing to prove? What would it feel like to be abundant? What would it be like as you go out for a walk? What would it be like to shine my authenticity and feel like I totally belong? Because how often in a relationship, right, that authenticity and belonging part again, you get into a relationship and you think you have to sacrifice your needs and you kind of lose yourself in a relationship. We've all done it, right? Because this life is both miraculous and heartbreaking, right? So we've all done it. It's part of the growth. But my point is, ask empowering questions. And ask them right in the morning, and your spirit and your angels will guide you. They will guide you. Because this stuff, you're all courageous for being here. You're courageous for doing your inner work. You're courageous for saying, I am whole. I am the divine presence making form. I am a genius in this world. Because as you hold that bigger space for you, some of these hurting parts are going to come up. Oh, it's weak to receive love. Or who am I to have that dream? Da 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 da. Or my body doesn't matter. My body's needs don't matter. Well, you live long enough, they do matter. So this idea that we have to push and ignore the body, or this idea that we are here because of each other. We are here. And there's one more study I want to leave you with. And it's not one of my favorite, but they did the rat pack study where the rats were addicted to, they had one with water, one with heroin, and then they got these rats addicted to heroin, and then they put them back into the community, and then the addiction left. When they were alone and isolated with their problem, they were addicted to the water with the heroin in it. When they got put back into the relational field, the addiction went away. And that isolation is as damaging to your immune system as 2.5 packs of cigarettes.
Wow.
That's data.
Yep.
So get into a community. Y'all hear me on Facebook, get off your screens. Come to Downriver Unity, or come to my Ubuntu Radical Self-Love Thursday nights. Get off your screen. Reach out to people. And it's scary, right? When we reach out to a community, when we open up to love, there's parts of us that are scared. Now, you know that famous quote that was from Marianne Williamson, we're afraid of the light, we're not of the darkness. Y'all heard that?
Mm-hmm.
The darkness is these scared little parts. Scared to dream. Scared, right? And so we are afraid of the light. Receiving love, asking for help, rooting down, holding a bigger space for ourselves. Knowing that we are literal geniuses, portals. Like your soul is a space. When you hold space, your soul is a space or a portal for heaven on earth. When you have this kind of expansion for yourself, some of this stuff's going to come up, right? Because we play small so we don't have to face this stuff. Or we don't have to ruffle other feathers. Now I want you to try a statement with me because I love you all so much. I am a beneficial presence.
I am a beneficial presence.
I am the hands, feet, and voice of the divine.
I am the hands, feet, and voice of the divine.
I love all my parts and know my brilliance.
I love all my parts and I know my brilliance.
I have a dream yet to be born.
I have a dream yet to be born.
The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come.
Amen?
Amen.
Otep!
Otep.
Shalom?
Shalom.
So it is.
So it is.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me on the here, and thank you, everyone.